until, for some unknown reason, while ascending, it simply faded away. Verdi and Lucaris answered no more calls to respond. Furthermore, they had sent no SOS to indicate they had encountered any hint of a problem. Readouts of the radar observations confirmed the unusual. The Grumman had not been captured on the scope at all as descending or as falling to the sea. There had been no sudden loss of altitude. It just disappeared from the scope while climbing. One sweep, they were there. The next, raised brows on traffic controllers. It was blank. The ocean, sitting under convective thunderstorm activity, was naturally not conducive to a search. No trace, if there was any left to find, was ever sifted out of the Gulf. When it was all over, the whole incident was chalked under a familiar and terse assumption: aircraft damage and injury index presumed. So far, very few disappearances have ever been reported by the press, and, if they are, they're reported with little attention to detail, or the reports studiously avoid any reference to the unusual. In 1978 and 1979 alone, 18 aircraft mysteriously vanished, yet only 2 or 3 rated any space in newspapers. Among these missing planes was a DC-3 airliner, a large twin-engine charter on approach, and several private aircraft in the narrow corridor between Bimini Island and Miami, which are in view of each other from aircraft altitudes. Yet, nevertheless, all vanished as if surgically extracted by a hand being careful not to affect the surrounding heavy traffic on that route, which reported no signs of wreckage or unusual weather. Even apart from the strangeness of the events preceding and surrounding some disappearances, it appears fairly obvious by the number that something is very wrong. Although it is often publicly recited that the Bermuda Triangle's reputation is based on 20 planes and 50 vessels posted missing over the last 100 years, official records vividly show that such a number can be and has been easily exceeded in any given 2-year period. On an average, however, 4 aircraft and about 20 yachts vanish each year. The frequencies of those 2 years is alarming enough. But out of all the alarming elements in the statistics, it is not the isolated surges of losses that are the most intriguing. Dossiers on all aircraft accidents, which include missing planes, are still maintained, and behind the scenes they monotonously document the startling repetition. A brief format, usually just called a brief, is available for perusal from civil investigating authorities, particularly the National Transportation Safety Board in Washington, D.C. These handy and mostly terse 1- or 2-page chits preserve the known facts. Considering the brevity of the information, the nickname brief is not a misnomer, especially prior to 1982, before the board enlarged the scope of information contained on the sheets. Their pages, though, quietly testify to the actual number of missing planes in the Bermuda Triangle. Computer searches of the database files of the NTSB for several time brackets reveal some sobering statistics. It is quite surprising to examine the briefs and notice what is not in newspapers. For instance, between 1964, the oldest dates for the brief records, and 1974, 37 planes vanished. The period from 1974 to 1984 show that 41 aircraft have mysteriously disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. The pattern was the same, mostly over the Bahamas. It continued. From 1984 to 1994, 32 vanished. And from 1994 to the present, 20 aircraft have disappeared. Although it may appear that the number is on the decrease, this decrease mirrors the economic downturn of the late 1990s and dropped sharply after September.